This podcast is supported by Music Theater of Wenatchee, celebrating 64 years of bringing stories to life. From show-stopping musicals to powerful plays, the Music Theater of Wenatchee stage is where stories come alive. Now they are writing the next chapter, and you can help make it happen. Thanks to the McQuaig Matching Funds campaign, every dollar you give is doubled, up to $50,000, towards MTW's Riverside Annex expansion project. To support the next act of community theater in Wenatchee, visit annex.mtow.org and donate today.
Opening night club.
We're not opening a nightclub.
It's the opening night club. We can't wait to watch an opening night show, because on opening night we always go with our opening night club. Opening night club.
Welcome to the Opening Night Club. This is the podcast where we discuss and celebrate all of the opening night theater in Central Washington. I'm your host, Kevin McKee, and with me today, I have vocalist, actor, educator, and theater diva, my friend, Cathy Bronson. Hello, Cathy.
Hi, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm kind of excited. We talked earlier this summer, and we said we need to get together and have coffee or something this summer. And so I was like, okay, the summer's coming to an end. I want to get together with Cathy, and we can talk about theater.
I love that. So you've been planning this the whole time?
I've been kind of. Yeah, you were on a very short list of people that we wanted to have on here.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So, you've had a very busy weekend. Can you talk about what you've been doing? And we're recording this in the middle of August. So, what have you done this weekend?
This last weekend, I have been in The Little Mermaid. I have played Chef Louis in the pilot. We had a matinee yesterday, so that was exciting. We've also had a performance of Carousel on Friday night, which was rainy, and so we were all anticipating. You know the joy of you see rain on the forecast and you get a little, oh. We made all these plans and it just kind of drizzled, like here and there.
Okay, so we didn't have to pull out the rain parkas?
There were ponchos, but It was like, compared to torrential downpour like we had for Beauty and the Beast last year, we kind of just kept going. The hardest part is it makes the stage so slick.
Yes.
And so some of us made a contingency plan backstage before we went on to Nettie's, and we put some gaff tape around the plastic part of a mop, and somebody made it their job at Nettie's and just went around and mopped up the dance area. So that was great.
Awesome.
Some extra towels, the usual. I did have to wear a poncho behind the wall, though, because we sit there for about a half hour. We have to just wait on stage.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they've got the house, and you guys all come out of the door.
Correct. So we come out for June, and then all of that fun stuff, and we all go back, and then they come back out to sing with Carrie for the Mr. Snow stuff, and then almost all the girls run off. We have one person stay for the hornpipe dance, and then on and off, we have Rachel backstage back there. But other than that, it's Kelsey Swanstrom and myself sitting behind the wall, and it's doing crosswords. We're playing cards.
How long are you back there?
Until I come out after soliloquy.
But that's about
half an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
You're just sitting on stage.
We're just sitting there in the blind spots.
Wow.
My biggest bummer now is it's too dark to do my crosswords.
Oh, because we've moved into the summer.
Because now it's finally time where you can see the lights in the Act 1 early numbers. It's pretty crazy. Some of the new actors were commenting on I've never seen the lights on during June. Well, welcome to August. So that's fun. Carousel was this weekend. And then last night, we also, second part of our doubleheader, there was another Sound of Music. I think it's something like the 16th or something. Performance of Sound of Music. And that was fun. And I'm on the keys now. So that's makes my life a little more exciting. But it's pretty comfortable to come back and play.
So I saw you as Chef Louis in Little Mermaid, and you also were you're understudy for nearly everybody in the show. And I don't know if you've played King Triton, but I was dying to see you play King Triton with the rake.
Oh, man, that rake. Ooh, I had a contingency plan where I was like, can I have the plastic broom back? Those rakes make me nervous.
Oh,
just that kind.
Oh, okay.
And I'm shorter than Jared is, so like the pointy bit is at a different point in my body than it is in his.
It'd be towering over you.
just a little bit.
You'd be fighting Ursula for the rake.
Running the Triton stuff was pretty fun, but obviously I'm not a bass. So that's been the most fun part of like, I would do all my vocals with Susan Wagner, and then we'd get to Triton and go, and I'd muddle through it or adapt as much as I needed to.
Yeah. No, you're a strong vocalist. That's just what you do.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm strong, but I'm not a bass. We keep coming back to that.
Yeah.
When Casey came back and we started the process of the rehearsals, we met one-on-one to talk about the understudy track. And he said he didn't mind if I sang it up an octave. So I threw up my hands and went, well, there goes 3 weeks, but that's on me of just not asking. And Triton's been fun. I actually did get to do a cover performance last weekend. So I actually got to play Scuttle and Chef Louie.
I did want to talk about that one. So how was Scuttle?
It was a lot of fun. You know how much I love playing goofy, silly, not always quite there characters. So it was intimidating. It was a lot of work. The process with Casey Craig as a director, you don't always, as an understudy, get time in rehearsals. You get a separate rehearsal. And so we had a put in way back when, but then we had an actual put in for that role. And so Katie Newberry, who's the associate director, and the other swing, all of them are sisters. She actually covers more than I do. She came in and she was the pilot for the beginning instead of me. And then I was Scuttle. And then I was Scuttle and Chef Louie in the second act. So the second act got really intense because I had to get through Positivity and then right into Les Poissons and then right back for Kiss the Girl. And then I kind of collapsed for a little bit. And I just, in the finale, Scuttle's just there. So that was great. I got to do the classic crash out during Kiss the Girl, the whoa. So that made my heart very happy. But yeah, it was an experience. I've never gotten to go on as a cover. So it was really special.
That's exciting.
It was.
And Scuttle is such a fun role.
Oh,
and I don't know the actor that was playing Scuttle.
Drew Bates.
Drew Bates. He was fantastic as Scuttle.
He's so funny.
And really made that role a lot of fun.
Mine was a little more geriatric than Drew's. Drew, if you have a chance to see Little Mermaid, we only have 2 more performances. Drew does fantastic work on the scaffolding and all these cool things. And the second I get up there, I say, no.
He was all over the place.
Instead of running around and hanging from the scaffolding, I ran slow motion going. It's really fun. And the other parts where he jumps off the scaffolding, I was like, how about I just step on the ladder? That's great. Love that. But I got through it. It was really fun. The whole cast was really supportive. And that was wonderful. They used the term shove with love, which is just if you know somebody's not in the right place and they're following, just give them direction. No shoving was actually happening. It would just be like a seagull coming over and being like, go over there a little bit. And I'd be like, okay, thank you. But we did that for Carousel. We did an understudy run. And I actually just swapped with my understudy to cover her parts. But there was a scene I unfortunately hadn't ever been in the blocking. And so when we went on for it, there were 2 actresses who just moved me around. And they went, you should go comfort her now. And I went, okay, that sounds like a plan. Sounds like what I'm supposed to do. Perfect.
I think when I've done directed Sound of Music, and we've done it for halfway through and we have somebody come on as understudy, all of the kids want to do that. They want to tell people where they need to be on stage.
They are the experts.
They are the experts, especially if they've done the show before. Then they'll start telling them. But of course, they're using blocking from the last year. And so sometimes they're wrong. That's just one of the challenges of doing Sound of Music with that many kids and having to repeat because we just don't have that many kids in the area. Acting kids, anyhow. I don't remember. I know that we worked up at Leavenworth and we did Sound of Music multiple times. I think the first time I worked with you outside of that, was that Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder?
I think so.
I don't know.
You were my first Sound of Music director.
Yeah?
My first season. So that was fun. But that was Dancing Nuns year.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that was a long time ago.
And then we banded together and were in a cast for Gentleman's Guide. That was a party and a half.
That was a lot of fun. I was on stage a lot, and so I didn't really get to talk to the cast during the show. But I I think that might be the last time I was on stage. It was quite a while ago.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. I've directed since then, but have not been back on stage. It was kind of a big mic drop role for me, just because I was playing everybody all at the same time. And it was a lot of songs, and it was a big role. That's the biggest role I've ever had.
Was it your top album on your Spotify Wrapped? Because it was one of my top albums on my Spotify Wrapped.
I don't know if it was the album, but I think that the Lady Hyacinth song was at the top of my songs that got played.
That was a great one. That was the hardest one, I think, when I was in my ensemble role. That was one of the hardest ones, not break. because you were so ridiculous. I was also ridiculous as one of the chorus members, but it's so hard not to just watch you and be like, Kevin's being funny, he's wearing a dress. Like silly things like that. But not just because you're wearing a dress, but like the Lady Hyacinth just took over.
Yes.
Like the spirit of Lady Hyacinth was you.
Well, and it was a fun one for me because I could use really the Monty Python guys in dress voice. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of guys in dresses roles right now. And this one was straight on British guy in a dress kind of role.
You fully know it's a man.
So, yeah, you fully know it's a man. And I had a really good time. I talked to you before, and I know that during this show, you had something that shook you to your core, especially as an educator and vocalist. So this was fairly soon after, this might have been 2022? Mm-hmm. Because it was fairly soon after COVID, and we had learned that at any point somebody could get COVID and they just couldn't come on stage. Mm-hmm. So we double cast everything. And you were double cast, and the person that was with you was also there. So you guys were ensemble when you weren't lead, and vice versa. And so when you were lead, we were hitting the end of the second act, and your voice went out completely.
It was a really smoky fall. I remember that. It was really smoky. I got COVID again during the run, but it was early in September. But this time it hit really hard. I had the wonderful Amy Edwards as my double. And in the end, I think we ended up being the only double cast, actually truly double cast.
Yeah.
Because we were on stage every show. It was wonderful because we shared one brain cell for that show. That was the joke, but not really a joke. It was great to have somebody there. But that last performance, I think in the first act, I started singing and the things weren't coming out. And so I started dropping octaves left and right and changing it up. It happened to be the most soprano of all the songs in the show that I had to sing. And I remember just getting off stage, rushing to the bathroom because I was just overwhelmed. It had already been a chore trying to keep my voice together during the fall of a school year, all those fun things. We made it to the end of the act. I didn't have too much singing by myself. And I remember just breaking down, honestly, in the dressing room. And John coming in, our lovely John Mauser, the director, and he said, hey, and I thought they were going to just pull me and put Amy on, and that was it. And Amy was there, and everybody was being really supportive, and I was just losing my mind because it's your livelihood, it's your job, it's your joy.
You want to represent yourself
yes.
well. This is a singing role, and you did it great. You wanted to show people this is what I can do.
It's like, I can really do it, I promise. Let me just try again. But realistically, trying again wasn't going to fix anything. So John proposed that Amy would watch the monitor backstage, and she would sing for me, and I would still do all the acting. I would lip sync, and I would still have all the lines, just doing that. And once I calmed down, which was just the biggest thing to get through, we made a game plan. Good news is also, Amy and I would watch each other every day, every show, every night, just because we're doubles. We would cover each other. It would never have worked if we hadn't have gone along so well. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest deal. I talk about it with John, too, about like it just took a certain type of person. And so I went on for the second act, and we did I Have Decided to Marry You, and it went flawlessly. And I had the best time when I wasn't still crying, but because something took over of you don't even have to worry about your voice anymore. And Amy added some of my inflections in there. It still was Amy's voice, but added them. I had a friend in the audience who thought I just magically got better.
The audience did not know.
No. And some of the actors, I remember we did That Horrible Woman, and was it Jeff Anderson was my like kind of blocking partner. And he thought it would change everything. And he was like, nope, it's all the same. Yeah. And it was, if anything, more fun to just throw myself into it. Amy bailed me out, but it was a great production. Looking back, it's great to reflect on, but I shared earlier, I still have a little feeling when it comes up.
No, there's some emotional scars there that you just can't get away from, because it was very, very difficult. And I do remember how horribly upset you were backstage. I think we've been in lots of shows where everything goes right, where it's perfect. And I don't remember any of those shows. I remember we did it, but I don't remember anything about it. But I do remember every show I've been in where something went wrong and we had to fix it. Mm-hmm. And we did it on the fly. When somebody didn't come on stage, or they forgot a prop, or somebody completely just blanks on stage.
It just goes straight out.
We kind of remember that, and we remember what we did. And so, yes, this was one of the times that I think will always stick with me, was how well Cathy recovered and went back on stage and soldiered on, even though her voice was completely gone.
I appreciate that. I'm glad I made it a lasting memory for you as well. If I'm going to make an impression, I'm going to make an impression. Right or wrong. We're going to do it anyway.
That was a great show. I really, really loved that. And I thank John Mauser for putting that one together and casting us in that show, which was an awful lot of fun.
It was just, I don't get to do a lot of shows outside of summer. And it was just fun and high energy and absolutely ridiculous, but also like telling a fun story and cool effects in there too. And yeah, it was a good time.
So what was your start in theater? Did you grow up doing theater?
Yes and no. So I grew up on the west side. I grew up just north of Seattle. My sister started dancing. I started doing theater through like church shows. We did like these church musicals and I had a great time. I started doing that. And then when I was 10 or just about to be 10, my sister had been going to this performing arts studio. And so I had started taking ballet lessons and stuff. They had a ballet conservatory and like a private high school that was geared towards theater arts and stuff. So people could like emphasize in an area. And so they said they had some auditions coming up. So I auditioned for How to Eat Like a Child. It's a weird kids musical thing. It's like a whole mishmash of songs. I don't know. And then they had guest auditions for The Wizard of Oz. And so I went in because I was like, why not? And I ended up at 10 getting cast at the Fifth Avenue as a munchkin in The Wizard of Oz.
What an experience.
Yeah. And so I actually did, because, I don't do anything less than insane schedules. I did both shows at the same time. And so I was traveling to Seattle, downtown, and I did 28 shows in less than a month. I was doing 8 shows a week in the month of December. For the Fifth Avenue, which was great. That's my claim to fame. That's it. And it's gone.
So were your parents, were they thrilled or were they a little worn down by driving you to all of these shows?
We actually rode a lot of public transportation. So my paycheck I got went towards bus fare, which was paid for our transitions. But so we did that. And then I did some more shows with the Performing Arts Center. And that was wonderful. They shut down when I was about 12. I continued some voice stuff. I was doing homeschool girls choir. And then I started playing sports.
Really?
Yeah.
What'd you play? What's your favorite?
I played softball until high school.
Okay.
And then I played varsity golf, actually.
Really?
Basically just hitting things with sticks. I'm pretty good at that.
You still play golf?
Occasionally. I'm more just about like, I do want to improve, but yeah.
Okay.
It's a fun game. But then in high school, I did about one production. And then in college, I pursued a degree that many of the professors, when I auditioned for shows, deemed unworthy of time. So
What was your degree?
Music education.
Oh.
And so often I would get the feedback of, you were great, except you're never going to have time for this production. And so I did one act and I did one production and that was it.
Were you singing in high school? Is that what led you to music education?
Yeah. So I've been in choir since I was 6 or involved in choirs, and I've played piano since I was 6. And in high school, I started taking public school classes. I was in public school. So I switched from my homeschool choir to high school choir. And because I was a pianist, I got put in charge of warm-ups and things like that and sectionals and stuff. It's what you do. As a choir teacher now, I'm like, who can play piano? Who can play a scale? But I really loved it. And I'd always loved singing in choirs and stuff. So when I was looking at college options, I was like, I really think I want to do this. Yeah. I wanted to pursue theater for so long, but then something in high school switched where I was like, if you don't have the background, even though it was there, if you don't have the active background, it's going to be a lot harder to pursue it. But I have an active background in music. Mm-hmm. And so I went to a small school in Spokane. I loved it. It was great. And I got my teaching certificate for teaching K-12. Choir and music, but I want to teach upper grades. That's good. Yeah. And then I started in the big wide world.
Yeah, it wasn't a small, I saw on your face, you went to Whitworth.
I did.
Yeah, that's a great school.
It is a great school.
That is a great school.
Smaller school.
It's a smaller school.
The music program in general is phenomenal. That's what sold me.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Okay. So you graduated in music education and then you came to...
I actually taught in Warden for a year. I lived in Moses Lake and now I'm here.
Okay.
The choir teacher in Kashmere had been one of my classmates in college and he was leaving after his second year. And so we got in contact and I got an interview in Kashmere and I've been here ever since.
Okay.
It's been 9 years in the Valley. So
for 9 years, you've been in Kashmere as the choir teacher.
Choir director, the tech director on and off, and the vocal director for our theater productions.
For the theater productions. Did you start that the first year? Was it just kind of expected? You're going to be vocal director for the musicals?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember what that first year was?
It was Thoroughly Modern Millie, which my high school had done, and I liked it a lot. I loved the movie. I loved the musical. It's fun, jazz age. I remember in my interview, one of the principals was like, "Do you know how to use the soundboard?" And I went, "Nope, but I'm willing to learn." And that year, I learned a lot. I cried a lot, but who doesn't?
Live sound is hard.
Live sound is so hard. And 9 years down the road, we've fixed so many things. I have so many more connections, like Mike Locke at the Pack and all those things. And things were going horribly wrong during Millie, like Mike Pack's burning kids and stuff. It was my nightmare still. And I always tell kids when like there's a little crackle, I'm like, it could be so much worse. We've made it through the trenches. It's fine. A crackle's fine. We can fix a crackle. But yeah, so the expectation's always been there. And so you supervise the booth. Sometimes I take over the booth because it's part of my life. Eventually I became the auditorium coordinator for the middle school. So I ran like the calendar and orders and stuff.
Were you just de facto tech person? If somebody needed a mic turned up for a speech, you'd do it? Eventually,
yes.
Okay.
Because I'd rather handle it because I finally knew what the problem was.
Okay.
That's a big part of most of the time. And then when I don't, Google is free. So, and Mike Locke is on my speed dial.
I don't know how many people outside of theater understand how much Mike Locke does, not just for the Performing Arts Center, but for every production all around the area. From Leavenworth, and I think he's helped the Quincy Kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so too.
He just does so much. He's a resource that is very underappreciated in town.
Not by me.
Good.
You hear that, Mike Locke? I love you. You're the best. Keep doing what you're doing.
So you have been for 9 years at Cashmere High School as the music director for their shows,
mm-hmm.
and I'm assuming you've been the one outside of the shows getting the kids ready, trying to get their voices in shape.
On and off, yes.
Okay. So how many of your choir kids end up in theater?
I'd say probably a third.
Okay.
We actually have had, over the years, it's a small school. Again, we pull from everywhere. We have a phenomenal student orchestra, generally. And then a lot of the years also, we've pulled some of our vocal talent from the orchestra. They've decided to audition for certain shows. And then, so it's a mix of like band kids, choir kids, and then kids who don't take either, but they're theater kids and all that fun stuff. So I'll teach like audition songs sometimes in class, or I would teach their general song, which is like My Country 'Tis of Thee or something, My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. So everybody knows it at least, working on vocal skills. But then once we cast a show, I have a lot of individual rehearsals with kids to perfect things, or not perfect, excuse me. Nothing's perfect. But I have a lot of individual rehearsals where we just improve. We work on improvement. And then I have ensemble rehearsals as well. It's a very similar process to the Leavenworth Summer Theater process. We do French scenes. We do a lot of like crammed vocals at the beginning, because once you add the blocking, you know, everything changes. Once you hope you know your music, because when you get on stage, you go, ooh. That's something with The Little Mermaid. We put it together in 10 days. We didn't even have the whole cast until a week and a half before we opened. And that was insane.
Christy was talking about it. That was the thing that just blew me away with what Casey had been able to do with that show, that the actors were so sharp. There was nothing that felt under-rehearsed in that show.
It is a very trusting group. If you saw our Into the Woods at Icicle Creek a spring or two ago, it was the same kind of concept. We had 10 of us doing an 18-person show, and it relies a lot on trust and practice together. But that's been so helpful. But a similar thing of just we crammed vocals for 4 days of Mermaid, and I'm the vocal director for that production this year because I just did it at Cashmere this winter. So I said, okay, I know this music. But everybody came pretty prepared, and we just dove in. So that was really great to work with. And then going back to the high school aspect of diving in, finding out what the problems are, I would only see a kid once before having to assign their vocal assignments, and I'd say, cool. And you do your best. And you don't know. And I always constantly adjust as we go because things are changing. Or you find out that the dance is actually so much harder than you thought it was going to be when you taught the song. And then I say, actually, forget what I said. Everybody sing the melody.
Yeah. We're going to drop our harmony because you've got to be able to dance.
And breathe.
Yeah. Well, an issue you see with a lot of high school theaters is you have far more girls than guys. And because Cashmere is a very small school, what I've seen in the past few years, it's been really hard to recruit guys, especially singing guys. And so I know that had to have shaped the shows that you were able to pick. It's a little easier to do Little Women than it is to do 1776 or something.
When we chose, I was just having this conversation because one of my former students is in some of the shows with me, just having the conversation of we chose Little Women because it's a smaller cast. We can make it work with the guys we can find. We can make it work. And then we had a huge turnout of kids to show up, and we made it more of an ensemble show and added some extra stuff. And we had some gentlemen audition that they were like, I don't know if I can do it. And it took a lot of prodding, you know, and a lot of work and a lot of coercion sometimes. Let's be real. Not quite bribery, but a lot of just try it, just do it. But it can be fairly difficult. And sometimes the name of the show brings in more people. And that's with high schoolers, they don't always know. Yeah. So it's a lot of word of mouth. It's a lot of like finding kids in the hallways and saying, hey, if you have any questions, come talk to me. Let's figure this out.
I know that there was several times when I finished the show, and I know what the kids can do because I've seen them coming up. And a lot of times I could see a lot of growth in between the fall show and the spring show, which isn't that much time at Cashmere because they do the spring show quite early.
It's really a winter show.
It's really a winter show.
We don't do a spring show.
Yes. But what I came away with a lot of times was, holy crap, Cathy has done a lot of work, especially with the boys, to get them to the place where they could do that song.
I appreciate it.
Your work has been noticed.
We also sometimes bring in extras too. So Amy Edwards has come in to do extra coaching sometimes, or we have scholarship money to put towards that. I appreciate the kind words. It's been a lot of work sometimes. And sometimes you get kids in there who, like our Marmee from Little Women, came in and she had Alone completely memorized already. She just sang it and I went, okay. For those who can't see my face right now, I did the like, ooh.
No, it's very impressive when you have the kids that come in and they've done their homework. There's a lot of sloppy theater kids. I was one of them that didn't think they needed to have anything memorized. And by the time you said, okay, everybody needs to be off book, that's when you started memorizing.
Really?
If there's anybody out there listening to this and they want to be a good theater person, they want to be a theater professional at some point, you have everything memorized before you get on stage. You learn all of your songs. You have a keyboard at home that you can punch out parts. That's what it takes to be a theater person. I can get off my soapbox now, but
it's okay.
I'm hoping anybody listening to this would say, oh, yeah, I guess I need to up my game.
Learn your lines.
Learn your lines. It's so much easier on the director.
And if you don't know the whole song, ask for help. Your vocal directors want you to succeed.
That's right. That's right.
We're not here dreaming of your demise. We want it to be a good show. Let us make it a good show.
So what are the things that you haven't been able to do at Cashmere? I'm going to say right now, we're on the cusp of you leaving town, taking on a new adventure. So what are the things that you haven't been able to do at Cashmere? Are there shows that you think, oh, I wish we'd be able to do that?
We have limitations with our space. Often, as many theaters do, we don't have any fly space. So that puts us in an interesting situation. I've always wanted to do a Disney show, so doing Little Mermaid was really, really fun. And I love it as a millennial woman. It speaks to me. But there's a couple stylistic things I wish we could do, but we just don't have the right numbers. Honestly, we've had the discussion as directors before of, we can't do Chicago. We can't do that. It's too edgy. And then the other day I was like, could probably totally do Chicago. Just honestly, it doesn't have to be crazy scandalous. I mean, there's still parts of it, but we did Legally Blonde back in the day, so we've made it through some of it. Granted, sometimes you have to simplify things. They are high schoolers and looking at your demographic and looking at your community. But I don't know. Some of them, I'd love to do Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
I would have loved to do that. There's a couple other things. I can't think of too many things specifically.
Okay.
Those are show-wise. Yeah, I don't really have a great answer for that. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, you have
I can think more personally than as school.
Well, you have done some very impressive shows. I know that watching Mamma Mia, which for my money was the best show in the area that year, and you were able to take a very difficult score and get it to the place where high schoolers could sing it.
That was a lot of fun. That was one of the top experiences, I think, as a director. It was just so joyful.
Yes.
And I mean, right before that, we had done killer, great, fun stuff. But it was the reprieve I think we all needed of just fun. I mean, it's hard, but like fun pop music, having sing-along portions, which everybody needs in their lives, having fun, letting the kids like help design their own costumes, letting them relax. And it's so big on ensemble. That was just fun. That was the best way to describe it. After, I think when we started doing Addams Family, I started decorating the booth every show. So we'd add different themes. There were so many disco balls in the booth. So many. We even had inflatable seagulls this last winter
Nice.
in the booth. But I think that was one of the top productions, Mamma Mia, that I think I've ever been a part of. And it felt so good. So your kind words mean a lot.
So we talked about you moving on from Kashmere. What's your next steps? What's your next adventure? What are you doing?
I have finished my 10th year teaching, and I have decided to step away from teaching full time for a couple years, and I'm going to be moving down to Portland, Oregon, and I'm going to be pursuing a master's in choral conducting at Portland State University. It's a 2-year program. I competed for a GTA position, which is a graduate teaching assistantship. It feels like an adjunct role. It is a TA still. So they help with rehearsal processes. The graduate students will take over one of the separate choirs. I will be singing in the top choir and still involved in that. I will also be conducting one of the other groups with one of the second year graduate students, as well as potentially teaching courses. They also do that. So I know I just said I'm stepping away from teaching to do more teaching, but my goal is to graduate with a master's in choral conducting and come back to education. Because I do truly love teaching. It's wonderful to get to share the joy of performance and music with people. And my preferred age group is high school and above.
Okay.
So even collegiate at one point would be ideal.
So if you're thinking that you'll be coming back to teaching, you'll also be kind of superpowered as a choral conductor. Do you see yourself doing other things in the community wherever you end up?
I've found a wonderful community out here, and that's been one of the reasons I haven't left. Every time I've thought about it and I've looked at summer programs, I'm sold with where I am. It's reignited something that I loved so much, doing theater, especially something I've loved and I've waited so long to come back to. It's truly given me a home and a family in a way. That's actually been an active conversation this summer. So what are you going to do next summer? I don't know. I never know what I'm doing next summer. Generally, I wait for the season to be announced out here and I go, okay, no, don't think about it till January. And I just block it out. But there's lots of opportunities. We'll see where the wind takes me. That's really what I'm facing of. There could be opportunities in Portland and beyond.
So have you had interest in being a theater director?
Yes and no. I'd like to try assistant first. Assisting, but in the sense of actually like taking on part of the project. I think it's more watching Katie Newberry with The Little Mermaid. She was the associate director, so she actually got to take over portions. She also helped choreograph the show as well. So she did portions of that and then would block certain other aspects. She blocked Les Poissons, actually. It was great.
You were all over the place in that number. That was a very, very active number.
And I draw my own mustache every night. And baby, is it different. We had a handlebar last night.
I love the mustache.
I liked your note about twirling it where it is on the face. And I went, I have no idea where my mustache is every night. I just go, It plays. The mustache plays. We've had a goatee before. Anyway, sidetrack. Sorry. Being involved with high school theater, I've watched, working closely with our directors, I've watched the different concepts of what it all entails too, which I understand is a lot. And I'm already a stressful being. So sometimes maybe we'll see. But music directing, not exactly comes easy, but that's the first step. That's the tech directing. I have enough skills. I'm not a lights person. Don't hire me to do lights. But I can get through that. Assisting, I feel like, to help with the direction, I think my long answer is yes. But I want more experience. I want more training. That's it. I don't want to just dive in.
No, I think you could you have enough experience. I think you could work yourself into being a theater director, but also I think you'll be amazing as a choral conductor. I think that opens up a lot of stuff there too. So, Cathy, I can't thank you enough for coming and talking to me and for being on our podcast. I hope it was a good experience for you because it was great for me, and I'm glad I finally got a chance to hear all about Cathy Bronson.
Thank you so much for having me, Kevin McKee.
No problem at all. So that about wraps it up for us here on the Opening Night Club podcast. If you like what you hear, go ahead and like, subscribe, follow our podcast. We'll be back next week where Skylar and I will be talking about Artimedorus, the Pink Floyd experience. If you have a chance, join us there for opening night. Thank you very much. Go out and see some theater. Enjoy the next opening night.